Uh, Axis Battle Axe was was the first book I ever read in my early 20s, and I was not much into reading. I'd read cartoons or comic books or whatever, that sort of thing. But that was the first like real book I looked at it, and I had no pictures in it. And some girl conned me into just reading the first like 20 pages or 30 pages or something, and she would have given me a cone, some marijuana or whatever. Alrighty, so I was reading it, and then I started to get into it, and it was a very good book. I started thinking this is actually a pretty good book, you know. So I borrowed it after she'd finished it, sort of thing, and I read through it, and I got to the end, and I flipped onto the back, and it said and I'm like, that's a weird ending, and it said it's a trilogy, and I thought, what's a trilogy? I don't know what a trilogy. I had to look up what trilogy, and it meant it's one book in three. And I was like, oh no, there's another one. I knew I had to now read that, which was really annoying. It annoyed me that I thought once I finished that, that'd be it. But no, there's another one. There's one more after it there. So this is the way the Bible also works in the same sort of thing. There's like 66 books of the Bible. 66. And then you've got, and they all, you know, stick up for each other, sort of thing. So they don't contradict each other. You can go through and you might think you find contradictions, but they don't. And the stories can be traced and tracked, and the history can be found if you go and dig up archaeological digs, and they've found a lot of stuff just because of the things that are in the Bible. They've gone looking for them and found them, and there they are. So a lot of stuff in there in the Bible, and once you follow through, you get to know the characters, right? I knew all the characters in this one and this one, and then as the title says, the Quran is claiming the same sort of thing. The Quran comes along and it's claiming to be Starman, right? And it's going, yeah, I'm the next book in the series. And everybody that's read these first two is going, no, it's not. No, you're not. you got nothing to do with us. This is a totally different book. This people that have only read this book are going, yeah, but this one's the real book. This one fulfills all the things in the past, and they're no longer needed. And we go, rubbish. There's nothing to do with us. And this is what you got to try and explain to the people reading the Quran. They don't. They only read this book and don't care about these two before it. They don't exist. And this book here says that these two here are true. These are the real ones. These are proper. And it says that the people that have read these need to judge by these two books. So when we do, we say, yeah, this book's wrong. It's false. But these guys still don't care because they don't read these two. And it's also, the other thing they don't like is the Trinity, right? They hate the Trinity thing. One God, blah, blah, blah. Alright? But if you look at these three books here, they're a trilogy, alright? So I can explain to them simply, alright, this is one story, right, going through, but there's three books, and it's a trilogy. So it's one story, one true story, right? It's a story above all stories. It's the greatest story, right? And it's the one true story, and it's got three books, alright? There's three books in there. They can understand that. But if you say that about God, like one God, and it's got three persons, right? And each one is identifiable by itself, just by the person, you can understand it. You know, you can understand that, but they don't want to understand that either. So there's just a simple way to explain that sort of thing. Alright, God bless.